He felt fine at 68, then dropped dead. Watch for these hidden signs. Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up and just know something feels a little off, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Maybe your balance feels a bit shaky, or you're just more tired than usual, even after a good night's sleep. You tell yourself, oh, it's just part of getting older, and move on with your day. But what if that small feeling, one you brushed off as nothing, was actually your body waving a quiet little red flag? You see, as we age, our bodies become a bit more reserved when asking for help. The warning signs of serious health problems become quieter, subtler. And sometimes, we don't notice them at all until it's too late. That's why today, I want to have a very real, very important conversation with you. We're going to talk about 5 silent health threats that often affect people over 65, and the little signs they show before becoming something much more dangerous. Now, I know talking about illness can feel heavy. But this isn't about fear, it's about empowerment. Because when we know what to look for, we can act early. We can make small choices that lead to better days, stronger bodies, and more peace of mind. And really, that's what we all want, isn't it? To feel like we're still in the driver's seat when it comes to our health. So, let's start by talking about the first silent threat. It's something many of us have experienced but often chalk up to aging, fatigue, forgetfulness, maybe even some tingling in the feet. Sounds familiar? These might be brushed off as normal, but they could actually be signs of type 2 diabetes. Now, I know diabetes is nothing new to most of us. But what many people don't realize is how sneaky it can be, especially in seniors. When we're younger, our bodies might respond with strong symptoms, frequent thirst, blurry vision, unexplained weight loss. But after 65, those symptoms can soften, slow down, or show up in disguise. For example, maybe you've noticed that you're a bit more irritable lately. Or maybe you've been needing more naps during the day, even if you slept 8 hours the night before. Some people even notice more frequent trips to the bathroom at night. These little things, on their own, may not seem like much, but together, they could be telling you your blood sugar is out of balance. And here's the good news, catching it early gives you a head start. A simple blood test can show you what's going on, and lifestyle changes, like walking after meals or swapping white bread for whole grain, can make a huge difference. You don't need to turn your life upside down. Just a few mindful tweaks can help you feel more like yourself again. Let's move on to something that's often even quieter than diabetes, and that's hypertension, or high blood pressure. Now, this one really earns its nickname, the silent killer. Why? Because most of the time, you don't feel anything at all. No pain, no dizziness, no visible signs. You could be going about your day, cooking dinner, tending the garden, or watching your favorite show, completely unaware that your heart is working overtime behind the scenes. But over time, high blood pressure wears down the delicate walls of your arteries. It can lead to strokes, heart attacks, kidney damage, and in some cases, cognitive decline. And the worst part? Many people only find out after one of those things has already happened. So what can we do about it? First, don't wait for symptoms. Make it a habit to check your blood pressure regularly, either at the doctor's office, the pharmacy, or even with a small monitor at home. You don't need to obsess over it, just keep tabs on it, like you would with your bank balance. And if it starts creeping up, your doctor can help you adjust course early, before any real damage is done. Also, don't underestimate the power of small daily changes. Swapping salt for herbs in your meals, taking a 10-minute stroll after lunch, or simply finding ways to de-stress, whether through prayer, meditation, or laughter, can lower your blood pressure naturally. Now, let's talk about one that's especially close to my heart, because it sneaks up in a way that affects how we see ourselves, how we move, and how we feel inside our own skin. I'm talking about osteoporosis. Here's the tricky part, bones don't scream when they're getting weaker. They don't ache or throb to warn us. In fact, many people don't realize their bones are fragile until something breaks, sometimes from something as small as a sneeze, or a bump into a kitchen counter. Have you noticed yourself getting shorter over the years? Maybe your posture's changed a bit, or you've had more back pain than usual. These can be subtle signs that your bones are thinning. And while it might feel like there's nothing we can do, that's not true at all. One of the best things you can do is move your body, gently but regularly. Walking, light strength exercises, even dancing in the living room helps your bones stay strong. And calcium isn't just for kids. Making sure you're getting enough calcium and vitamin D is a must, whether it's through food or supplements. Even something as simple as spending 10 minutes in the morning sun can help your body make more vitamin D naturally. Plus, who doesn't love a bit of fresh air and sunshine? These first three, diabetes, hypertension, and osteoporosis, are incredibly common, but often misunderstood. They don't shout. They whisper. And by the time they get loud, the damage is already done. But when we listen to those whispers, when we tune into the small signs and stay curious about how we're feeling day to day, we give ourselves a fighting chance. Now that we've talked about what's happening inside the body, let's keep going, because there are still two more silent threats I want to share with you. Ones that don't just affect the body, but the mind, the spirit, and the joy we feel every day, because there are still two more silent threats I want to share with you. Ones that don't just affect the body, but the mind, the spirit, and the joy we feel every day. Let's talk about something that's often overlooked, especially as we age. It's not as obvious as a broken bone or a sugar spike, but it can change your whole experience of life before you even realize what's happening. I'm talking about depression, the quiet kind. The kind that hides behind polite smiles and "I'm fine" answers. You might not think of depression as a silent killer, but the truth is, untreated depression in older adults can lead to a decline in physical health, memory problems, and even a higher risk of heart disease and stroke. Not to mention how deeply it affects your sense of meaning and connection. What makes it so sneaky? Well, in younger people, depression often shows up as sadness or crying. But in seniors, it can look like something else entirely: low energy, poor appetite, irritability, or just not caring much anymore. Maybe you've noticed you're not interested in the things you used to love. Maybe your days all start to feel the same, like you're just going through the motions. It's easy to mistake this for just getting older. But growing older doesn't mean you stop feeling joy. You deserve to wake up with purpose, to feel connected, and to have people and passions that make you feel alive. If you've noticed that spark dimming a bit, please don't brush it off. Talk to someone. A friend, a doctor, a pastor, anyone you trust. Sometimes, just saying it out loud is the first step toward feeling better. And there are ways to feel better. Therapy, medication, support groups, even simple lifestyle changes like regular walks or joining a local club can help lift the fog. And if you're supporting someone else, a spouse, a sibling, a friend, be gentle. Sometimes the strongest people hide their struggles the best. A warm conversation, a shared meal, or a simple "I'm here if you need me" can make all the difference. Now, the last silent threat I want to talk about might surprise you. It doesn't always show up on a blood test. You won't find it on an X-ray. But its effects can be just as serious, especially in our later years. I'm talking about chronic loneliness. Yes, loneliness. It might sound harmless, but did you know that feeling socially isolated has been linked to a greater risk of early death than obesity or smoking? That's how powerful human connection is. We're wired to be with others, to talk, laugh, share, belong. And yet, so many people over 65 find themselves more alone than they ever expected. Friends move away or pass on. Families get busy. Our routines change. And little by little, we stop reaching out, stop making plans, and eventually, the silence becomes a new normal. But here's what I want you to know: loneliness doesn't have to be your story. Even if you live alone. Even if it's been a while since you felt truly connected. You are not alone in this feeling, and you are not powerless to change it. Start small. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Join a local senior center or book club, even if it's just for one meeting. Take a class, volunteer, find a local walking group. You'd be amazed how quickly a new connection can lift your spirits. And if getting out isn't easy, there are even online groups and phone-based communities where you can share stories, meet people, and feel seen. Sometimes, we think we're too old to start something new. But let me tell you, you're never too old to make a friend, laugh at a silly joke, or feel like you belong. In fact, those things might be more important now than ever before. So when you think about your health, don't just focus on your body. Pay attention to your heart, your spirit, your connections. Because the strongest medicine in the world is love, laughter, and knowing that someone cares. Now, just take a breath. Really, pause for a second and take a deep one in. Hold it, and let it out slowly. Feels good, doesn't it? That moment right there, that's you choosing to be present. To tune in. And that's the whole point of this conversation. Not to scare you, not to overwhelm you, but to remind you that you still have so much power when it comes to your well-being. We've talked about 5 major health threats, some that affect your body, some that touch your emotions, and some that live in the quiet spaces in between. But none of them are unbeatable. You can catch them early. You can do something about them. And you don't have to do it alone. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about before we wrap this up. It ties everything together, and it might just be the most important part of all. It ties everything together, and it might just be the most important part of all. It's the part that makes all those little signs and symptoms worth paying attention to. It's the reminder that your health, your life, is still yours to shape, even now. Maybe especially now. Because after 65, your time becomes even more precious. Every day, every choice, every small step forward, it all matters. And it adds up. So let's take a moment to pull everything together, not in a heavy way, but in a way that reminds you how strong and capable you really are. We talked about type 2 diabetes and how it can sneak in with barely a whisper, showing up as a little extra fatigue, maybe some tingling or mood changes. But with a quick test and a few smart changes, you can take the reins before it takes hold. Then there's high blood pressure, the one that hides in plain sight. It doesn't always show itself, but it's working behind the scenes, quietly putting strain on your heart, your brain, your kidneys. Catching it early with a simple check, cutting back on salt, moving more, it all helps more than you think. And remember osteoporosis? The way it chips away at your strength without you even feeling it, until suddenly you do. A simple walk, some calcium, sunlight on your skin. These aren't big things, but they build strong bones and confidence too. Depression. That invisible weight so many carry without saying a word. The disinterest, the tiredness, the feeling of being a little disconnected from yourself. Please remember, feeling low isn't just part of aging. It's a signal, one that deserves attention and care, just like any physical illness. You're allowed to seek joy again. And finally, the quietest danger of all, loneliness. Not just being alone, but feeling unseen. That aching silence in the heart. But you're not invisible. You matter. Your stories, your presence, your laughter, they're still needed in this world. And that spark inside you? It can still light up a room. If any of this felt familiar, you're not alone. And if any part of you thought, that sounds like me, then I want you to know something important. Noticing these signs is a strength, not a weakness. It's not about panic or guilt or trying to be perfect. It's about paying attention, tuning in, and taking simple steps that put you back in control. Because here's the truth, you're still here. And while your body may have changed over the years, your ability to grow, heal, and connect hasn't gone anywhere. You are still capable of feeling vibrant. Still worthy of love and laughter. Still able to make powerful choices that shape your future. So, what can you do today? Start with one small thing. Maybe it's calling your doctor and scheduling a checkup you've been putting off. Maybe it's a short walk around the block, or choosing water instead of soda at lunch. Maybe it's texting a friend, reaching out to a neighbor, or letting someone know you've been thinking of them. Even watching this video and learning something new, that's a step. That's you showing up for yourself. And I hope you know how beautiful that is. Before we wrap up, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here, for caring about your health, for being open to learning and growing. That's the kind of strength that inspires others, whether you realize it or not. If something we talked about today struck a chord with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. You never know who might be reading, and how your words might help someone else feel less alone. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We've got more conversations just like this one, supportive, honest, encouraging, that can help you take control of your health and happiness, one simple step at a time. You deserve to live well, to feel good in your body, and to wake up each day with hope in your heart. So here's to you, to your strength, to your wisdom, and to living your best life at any age. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.